Greetings, sisters and brothers. I wanted to make a few comments once again on the situation in Uganda, our beloved Uganda. So as many of you know, recently, the imbecile General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who effectively, of course, is the deputy military dictator in Uganda to his father, General Yoweri Museveni. And when he tweets, when he speaks, he's speaking with the approval and coordination, and perhaps even his father's the one who drafts those tweets. Because if his father disapproved of those tweets, he would have fired his imbecile son a long time ago. But Museveni, of course, is Machiavellian. And that is one of the reasons he has been able to survive for 40 years as military dictator in Uganda. But he is not as smart as he thinks he is, number one. Number two, everything has a limit, and the limit is arriving for Museveni. The biggest card that Museveni has had for many years is the fact that Ugandan soldiers are deployed in Somalia. That is very important for U.S. foreign policy. So every time the United States, which of course trains Uganda's military, provides the weapons, and for many years until next year, provided the Ugandan regime with about $900 million every year, U.S. taxpayer money. That has ended with Donald Trump. But what Museveni used to do, he would threaten to withdraw Uganda soldiers from Somalia. And since Somalia is a very important, to U.S. foreign policy considerations, the fear that Somalia would become another haven for radical Islamic terrorism. And that is why Somalia is important to U.S. And Museveni's deal was that I can stabilize Somalia by having Ugandan troops there. So every U.S. president, the blackmail card has worked with every U.S. president until this time with Donald Trump. It worked under Obama, it worked under Clinton, it worked under the Bushes. It has always worked for General Museveni. But this time it did not work. So when, after Museveni stole the elections and at least parts of his army went on a rampage, and then Senator Risch made that statement condemning this fraudulent election in Uganda and condemning the repression that has been unleashed by General Museveni and Muhoozi against Ugandan civilians. And also, which is very important, by the way, saying that Uganda is actually spreading regional instability. Museveni realized that these were very serious statements, that the U.S. is willing to stop supporting him. And that is why he reminded the U.S. that we still have soldiers in Somalia. And that is how Muhoozi ended up tweeting that they're going to end the cooperation with the U.S. in Somalia. Well, guess what? He had to delete those tweets in a matter of hours and to kneel down and beg for forgiveness and apologize. Okay? That's what happened. That means Museveni now has no, at least under this administration, the U.S., no capacity to blackmail the United States. He has no cards left on the table, at least for now. So we need to ask the question, so what next? What next should be to release the true results of the election, and for BOBI Wine, who rightfully defeated Museveni, to be sworn in as president of Uganda. And the country moves forward. The sky will not drop. Uganda can negotiate whatever cooperation to continue, because everybody at the end of the day wants Somalia to be stabilized, but it should not be a question of Museveni blackmailing the United States in order to get support for his domestic terrorist regime in Uganda. That should not be the way forward. I'm sure more African countries will be willing to join Uganda to properly stabilize Somalia so that Somalia can have a normal government and move forward, not live under the shadow of Museveni dominating that effort by every time saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to withdraw, I'm going to withdraw. Well, this time it did not work, which is, to me, an indication of a possible seismic shift. So we need to move forward from this situation. And the best thing would be, of course, for the person who won the election, which is Robert Kyagulanyi, aka BOBI WINE, to be sworn in. Have a real government in Uganda, start fighting many of the issues that we need to fight, corruption, which has become national policy under Museveni. If you want to read how Uganda has become so corrupt, how Museveni has been so brutal, even worse than General Idi Amin, then you should read Professor Mahmoud Mamdani's book, Slow Poison. Order that book, and he has really detailed it quite well. And there's no excuse for these international agencies and Western countries to continue supporting Museveni. He's 82 years plus. Nobody even believes that's his real age. So obviously there has to be change. And there could be no better moment than right now to have the person who won the election to be sworn in. And I have to say this again. I know it's becoming clear that it would be the wrong thing to do, but I still have to say it. General Muhoozi and General Museveni, if you harm BOBI WINE or if you have him killed, you know Ugandans will do the right thing. There'll be serious consequences. So that should not even be on the table at all. Thank you, sisters and brothers.